Call this meeting to order of the Town of Brunswick Planning Board for March 20th, 2025. We'll start with pledge of allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For tonight's agenda, as was posted on the website and the town board out front, number one is Paramount Builders, a 33-acre subdivision on the corner of Spring Ave and Creek Road. And number two, Marie's Muse on Hoosick Road has been tabled until a further date. They are still before the ZBA. And then we'll have a little bit of new business following Paramount Builders. The meeting minutes for review from our March 6th meeting were distributed. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Are there any comments, corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes as recorded. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
So first on the agenda is Paramount Builders.
I'll just do that.
So, you can take it out.
Okay,
What do you need to lick?
please. Thank you very much.
You can just pop that right out of there. Hold it in your hand.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Works for me.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Matt Bonfire Engineering here again on behalf of Paramount. Everyone is having a nice March so far. The weather's warmed up a little bit, so it's actually been pretty decent out there. We did not present the last meeting because we were still kind of waiting to get the whole things back. So far, we have heard back from Rensselaer County Department of Health on the septic system. So the entire site has been reviewed. We have a full comment list back from the county. We're working through currently making those changes and any revisions requested by the county to meet their comments. We've received the office comments as well, so we'll be actively working the rest of this week, the one day that's left, and then next week on the revisions for his comments and working with his office to make any necessary updates, revisions to the plans there as well.
I think last time you were before, so we were in the process of outlining the application, I'm not sure.
So we spoke with DEC about the requirements for a construction exemption, I believe is the terminology that they use for it now. And we had that conversation back and forth. We forwarded that to Wayne's office, so we got record of that as well. Their determination was essentially they don't make a determination until the town has completely decided if they're okay with the project or not. My understanding of that was if they were to give an approval for a construction exemption of a subdivision prior to the town approving the subdivision, it seemed like they would be de facto approving the subdivision. So they said basically they will take and comment on it once full site plan approvals and subdivision approvals are obtained by the town budget.
Do you have any comments, Sharon?
There's a couple of comments that I made that are in regards to the extension of the water line. Matt is working on the map plan and report for the water district extension. And also map plan and report for the drainage district, which will be for the maintenance of the stormwater facilities. Most of the comments we had were on the stormwater, which we had removed before to take a look at. We submitted the SWIP and the stormwater design, and we had, most of our comments were kind of related to that. Warren made one comment about a lighting plan, but there's no lighting, we're not putting any street lighting up through the roadway. And none proposed for the intersection either.
Correct.
Fire department asked for those. A light where you go into the development.
They did?
At some point in the past, they would like a light
Yeah.
where you turn in so they know where they're going.
Like basically set on the nearest telephone poles.
I-
The way of
I
the,
think there is a overhead on Spring Ave and Creek Road.
Something where it makes sense that it's gonna illuminate it, so when they come in with their trucks and stuff, they're not trying to find the, come down the road and they don't know where you're gonna turn. But you're gonna, I don't know, you send stuff to the fire company already.
we did, yeah, so they made a couple of requests for fire hydrant, location revisions. So, which we've made those changes, and we'll be seeing those in the updated plan set, which will incorporate county department health changes, comments made by the town wing and the fire department. So that'll all be encompassed in the next plan set.
Okay.
Can you refresh my memory on the water service? Does it loop around to Spring? Come back in, or is
Sorry,
it
I
dead?
didn't get you.
No, it does not. It comes up because the town of Brunswick line actually ends, there's a vault here with a hydrant and a tap. So the water line here, I believe there's a transmission line for, it was supposed to go on one side of the road, and there's another transmission line on the other side of the road, if I'm not mistaken. So that's actually another town's water line. So this will rise up, and it's a constant grade up in the water line to the last hydrant. So that'll help with any venting, any of that nature, no high points or pockets in the line, and for flushing purposes at the end of the cul-de-sac.
There's a PRD too, right near that intersection.
Is that PRV in the vaults here?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It would also be fine.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go up to the cul-de-sac, then what about the 4 houses down this way?
We'll have one water services,
You're gonna run,
besides appropriately water services from, yeah. So it'll be the main period to the end. I believe, one off memory, I think the fire department asked for the last hydrant to be here. And these houses will be fed off services.
each will have their own 1-inch line or whatever.
Exactly. Per box is at the property lines.
No gas.
I don't believe so. There's gas a little further down, not this far.
And the water for that house, that sits by itself,
Mrs. Hofer says she can't have it.
that's drawn off the line.
This year, yeah, that would likely be direction back to the line. So,
She ain't gonna be there very long, so.
that's still Brunswick line.
We'll go up, be looking for
Right,
that.
and across
Yes.
at East Valley. I believe at the end of these vaults, there's a line that comes under the road, and that's when it becomes Poston Hills. And this was turned 90 degrees, and there's an existing hydrant there, just off the hydrant as a cap. So we're proposing to remove that cap, make the connection there, continue up creek, and then come across the road.
Mr. Bradley on board with this? Or-
He has reviewed the plans.
Yeah. I looked in on that other lot that's on the other side of Crick Road.
Mhm.
Terrain in there is pretty impressive. I don't know where you're gonna put that house, but
It's a 5.5 acre lot. It is, it's a 5.5 acre lot. So we did show these footprints, just so the houses are 40 by 60. That's a pretty generous footprint for the house. just for, schematic purposes on the plan. It's a 5.5 acre parcel.
Where are you gonna put the septic?
That's one of the comments from Rensselaer County. So with the updated wetland regulations, septic will likely be moved northwest on the parcel.
So you're gonna be up on top of that?
Yeah, the home need to move as well, depending on, we just received those comments, so we're just getting into the update and the design on that one. So we'll certainly have more information on that for the next.
I just looked in there and there's no leaves at this time. And I looked in there, I'm like, okay, guess you get a house in there something.
Sure. They certainly built the more challenging ones, so.
Maybe, any comment?
If I can, Wayne, is there a grading plan for the mass balance analysis? We know how much is coming off.
For those calculations,
Yes, actually, because these get the same question, we can provide that. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm gonna say, 400,000 bucks for the balancing. There's a certain amount that's staying on site for grading,
how much are you taking off of it?
about 400,000.
Is that pile on Sharp Road any of your stuff?
On Sharp Road?
Yeah, well,
At the end of it.
we approved subdivision on Sharp Road, which is,
No,
there's a 30-foot pile there.
I think
Just a
that's,
tiered.
yeah, I think it's for that. I think it's for that
I
project.
don't know if it's from that or for that, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
impressive.
no, not for this project.
I assume they're not gonna take like all 400,000 off at once. Will it could impact how we review the impact for like trucks and moving trucks and all that thing. We'd like to maybe have a plan of how we're gonna route truck traffic and where it's going. That's a significant amount of trucks right
20-some thousand.
there. What's that?
That's like 20,000 trips,
What was the
20 yards.
one on Route 2? How many thousand yards were coming out of
Two, what was
there? The one,
Are you,
Green
No.
Ridge.
that? No, that's balanced, they're not taking anything.
Originally, it was like
Originally.
20,000 and then they balanced it, changed their plan.
Right, right.
how
It was
much
only
did they,
20,000.
Right.
Yeah.
how much did they take into Hannaford?
Well, Hanford was a different issue, they were bringing it in, they raised that site to 60, so.
Yeah, but I don't know how many yards they brought in.
It was a lot,
That was up there, yeah.
40,000 maybe?
Oh, is that it?
No, I think it was
I think so.
So that serves as a bit of a precedent. So in that one, the Hannaford, you did require information on truck routes, days, times of work, because of the number of trucks going up and down Hoosick, and traffic impacts, and I think all that information is relevant both for seeker and the subdivision.
Well, they're pretty good gravel, they could take it into the quarry over there on the Thames, or, I mean, it's not too far.
It's not,
You could pile it in there, and, but that's not our problem.
You might want to look into what you think the truck route will be.
Sure.
Absolutely. And if you can, what's the destination? Didn't realize it was that much.
That's a number that's gonna get DEC's attention, a little forewarning. That's a lot of material.
He is aware of that.
Okay.
So how does that affect us if we approve something and then DEC has they're essentially a mining permit?
So it will get a little complicated, I think, if that's the department's position. We did send the secret lead agency coordination notice. I don't know that on the EAF right now it says you need a mining permit. Okay. The information you're gonna give Wayne and the board on volume, schedule, in particular, it does sound like there'd be more than 1,000 ton or 750 cubic yards per year removed from the site. If the department's not gonna consider or act on a construction exemption before the board acts, then we have to look at that and say the law requires a mining permit. And if that's the case, I think you need to act as if there's a required state mining permit until the state says otherwise. That, based upon what you give Wayne in terms of that grading plan and material removal plan, if you will, don't want to delay anything, but that may require a further amendment of the EAF and a recirculation. So the sooner you can get that in, we can review that, the better. I think you do need to comply with the DEC regs on mining permit. If you're taking more than 750 yards off in any calendar year from the site, you need a mining permit. So we may have to review it on that basis.
It would be nice to be able to get a more concrete determination from the department on whether.
Well, if we recirculate lead agency and the EAF notes a mining permit, that might get their attention and based on a more detailed grading plan and
Yeah, so we
volume.
tried to ask the question a couple different ways to see if we could get a more definitive answer, and they were very clear, unfortunately, because they do have a full grading plan, existing and proposed grades. They were provided that. They asked for a cut fill analysis. We did a cut fill analysis.
Yeah.
Provided all the information, and their response was, until everything has been thoroughly worked through at the town level and meet subdivision site plan approval and necessary, that they were not making a determination whether it was an exemption or not. That's what I said.
So once that information comes into the town, I think Wayne and I can coordinate and contact the region and have some discussion. I'm happy to call over there and get some clarification. Because it's tough if this board's going to serve as lead agency. Yes, you're looking at the impacts, but if the department is going to determine that a mining permit's required, that'll undergo a fairly detailed review at the agency. If they say it's a construction exemption, this board needs to conduct that detailed review. So we kind of know, needed, right?
So in terms of this is the timeline for determining lead agency, is your thought that it would have to be recirculated and the timeline just starts again?
That's correct,
Okay.
because what we've sent out is the department's jurisdiction is clearly over the stormwater issues and to the extent needed the water district extension. But if it's now listed you need a mining permit, that might change the department's review of the proposed
Okay,
lead
yeah.
agency.
That was,
I will tell you, DEC generally will take lead when there's a mining permit involved. So it probably would change their review.
okay.
Has the 30-day period for the last distribution expired yet?
It has not, it's a few more days because it was sent out after the February 20th meeting.
Haven't we received anything back?
No.
From anybody?
No.
Who does that go to? So we you, maybe?
No, it comes to the town, yeah, to the attention of the planning board, which would get directed to Kev.
I'm sure you can understand my hesitancy.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'm sure you can understand my hesitancy to put mining permit on there if we haven't said it's required, but I understand your,
Oh, no. The department wouldn't need to tell you it's required.
Yeah.
The law tells you it's required if you're removing that amount of material.
okay.
Yeah.
So we want to update the EAF, basically get that over tomorrow to the town, submit that over, right? So that can be.
Now, you can review that with your clients, but we know the department's regs, if it's over 1,000 ton or 750 yards removed from the site, then requires, in one calendar year, it requires a mining permit.
You might want to share some of that information with women so that we can. We'll do it.
Yeah, I thought you were balancing the site, more than that.
Yeah, there's certainly some balancing that's occurring on the site, but that's my recollection of the last technical analysis. About 400,000 exports. So we'll certainly discuss with my client on the EAF, get that over to town.
What does it say in the EAF now?
For permits, for DEC,
Not only permits, but how much? Work, there is one section on EAF.
Okay.
Doesn't it ask you how much is going to be removed from the site?
It says, does the proposed action include excavation, mining, and dredging during construction? And it says no.
Usually, if it's just general site preparation, grading, or installation, utilities, and foundation, it doesn't apply. But I think this is beyond that.
The comment number.
It's,
D2.
page 4.
Thank you.
Gonna look at the project acreage.
I wonder if you should put it on page 2 as well. In the government figures.
that's where I was looking first, for DEC, it's just listed for the
Speedies.
speedies, for the stormwater.
Should we note that mining permit or construction exemption? Basically,
That's your call.
okay.
Your client has an idea of where that's going.
Yes. So we'll be looking at that for the next meeting. In the meantime, we'll get any updates into Mercer County Department of Health on the septics and all the other comments probably from Wayne's office on the site plans as well. We'll pull this together. Any other questions or comments? that we can look at?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
When did they want this out for next week?
Yeah, or do we available for the next meeting?
Yes. Yes,
So
please.
that is April 3rd. So you'll be first on the agenda, possibly Marine News. But I don't think so.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time tonight.
So that concludes our regular meeting for this evening. Next, we have new business. Anyone left in the room?
You're the only one here.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
No, these are us.
So if you could just give us a brief introduction. We're not going to make any decisions tonight. We're just going to get an overview of what the presentation is about.
My name is Stephen Richardson. I work for ADP. I'm representing CDP Hills LLC. We're looking for something very basic. CDP Hills owns nominally 80 acres to the rear of 110 Lord Avenue, owned by the Stolls. And with their permission, we're trying to accomplish a lot line adjustment where essentially the Stolls own either side of Blair Lane. It's the same tax map parcel ID. It's 91-2-47. And it's a natural division of the lot. And all we want to do is eliminate this lot line and incorporate the lands to the east of Blair with the lands of CDP Hills. At this time, there's no intention of developing it. It's just something that they'd like to acquire for maybe down the line.
What's the size of the lot that would be transferred?
1.45 acres.
Is Blair Lane a town road?
I believe it is. It was dedicated in, I don't have the deed on there, but it was dedicated a number of years ago.
Well, that's a young, he's at page 7.
That's correct. Yes.
So you're just taking that line out and making one really big lot out of two lots.
That's correct.
And the only reason it's shows up as three is because of the Blair Lane.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The only reason it shows up as three is because of Blair Lane.
That's correct. Blair Lane, the folks that owned a larger parcel here subdivided it over time. And as more lots went in, they decided to dedicate Blair Lane, and this was just the remnant parcel, what was left.
So this would be a waiver of subdivision?
We're not subdividing,
Right.
we're not creating a new lot. Right? They're merging the two lots. So
That's correct.
Now, who will, right now, that one lot that's split by Bear Lane is Mary and Carl Stoll,
That's correct.
and this other lot is CDP Hills.
That's correct. And Wolf Ranch Hills, LLC, but CDP Hills has the controlling interest in that parcel.
So who will be the owner at the end?
CDP Hills will own, is looking to acquire this 1.45 acres, and the schools will retain the 1.9 on the other side of the road.
So that's different. Right? Well, if those two square lots are one lot now, so we're gonna take the lower square lot off and add it to the bottom one, so we'll still have two lots when we're done.
That's good.
But we gotta split the sole lot in half.
You will split the Stoll lot in half. As the proposal, as I understand it, will not create a separate building lot, merge. You basically are changing one lot line. If you will, you're taking the lot
Oh,
line.
you're not, okay,
You're almost like you're erasing one lot line.
but you're also, the lower lot is merging in with the big lot.
That's correct.
So,
But that does raise a question. Is the big lot, so you're now part of an approved plan development district?
I believe in the past it was, I'm not sure if it has expired at this point. I believe that someday down the line, they're looking to do some sort of project with that land. And part of that is that they would like some sort of access to this area. What that plan is, I'm not privy to. It's not part of what we're doing right now.
Well, it's relevant.
Understood.
Okay, because that's something that I think we'll have to review with the town board.
Okay.
There is an approved PDD there that has not expired.
So it's not currently expired?
I'm presuming the CDP is Capital District property. Is you aware of that? Okay. And there had been an approved plan development district.
That's correct.
There had then been a subsequent application to amend that plan development district, which was pending but not then pursued. Okay. Capital District properties, and now it would appear that they're looking to add property to what had been the approved PDD site. So that'll have to be reviewed by the town. And I'll forward this application to the town attorney to review, so that may be something that the town board has to review. Only to the extent that it may impact the PDD approval.
Understood. I wasn't aware that they had currently applied for another PPP. I was unfortunately it hasn't
So
expired.
historically, it's aged, but it was an approved plan development district at a point in time when the town zoning law did not have a sunset provision for plan development districts.
Okay.
So it was approved, and so the plan development district itself was approved at a point in time when they did not expire or sunset.
Gotcha.
There was a subsequent application to amend that PDD. I believe at a point in time when the zoning law did include a sunset provision. And I'm certain that the application to amend the PDD was not pursued, which arguably means that the underlying PDD still remains in place. So I'm not sure how this impacts that'd be an issue for the town to determine. Okay? And I would think until that's reviewed and determined, we should get some indication of that before the board acts on a waiver that potentially impacts the PDD site that was approved.
How about the metal building that extends across the lot line?
This here. So after speaking with Carl Stoll, the fellow, Mr. Dennis Bailey, has just been developing over here kind of carte blanche. And Carl Stoll has not fought him on it anyway. It's something that our client is looking to remedy in the end. I'm not sure what that remedy would be, but that unfortunately has been there for a while.
It belongs to and is used by the adjacent.
That's Dennis Bailey. I believe that'd be a legal matter as to how they pursue.
Well, we might need a zoning variance also.
Okay.
I shouldn't speak for the building department, but
Hypothetically, would a subdivision of this lot be more amenable to the board? Not to be merged, but just to split these two lots, or this lot into two? Take this out of the equation temporarily.
Is there any road frontage for that big lot?
I don't understand that one.
The other end, that's.
They have access through this area. Where the road frontage is, I'm not exactly sure. That was part of the survey that we conducted.
Ties into Kenny's
We
house.
really, the extent of our survey was this back line here.
That would be great. That would be two-way.
This is Berkshire property. Is that what it is? Is this what was supposed to be apartments, or is this just a extra piece of ground to hold the world together?
There were development plans on that parcel long ago, and I'm not exactly sure what they were.
It was Hudson Hills, wasn't it? Yeah. Hudson Hills.
Hudson Hills is the name that I've heard. I'm not sure what the plan was.
I've been around that long. It's not that old.
Pretty old.
Believe it, Dave?
It's pretty old.
Like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We've been here 25 or 6, so.
It was before me.
Nothing to do with the solar stuff that's back there. I guess your question about a subdivision is in the room. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your question about just doing a subdivision instead of merging it is between the attorney and the building department.
Do we need total? We don't need total.
Not if it's, we- hold on.
And there's no other, like, septic or any other utilities on the lot, on the south side of.
That's correct, there's not. The approximate location of the septic is up here for this lot, and they have a drill well. Although I'm not 100% sure if they use it, because there's a hydrant here. I'm not exactly sure where their water comes from, but there's nothing on this lot down here. And this is half the lot, I should say.
Anybody else have any questions? Anything else, Dan?
No, as I said, I'll take this and I'll forward it to the town attorney. My recollection is that Hudson Hills apartment project, the PDD, there was a back, like emergency gated down to the board as a secondary emergency access. I think, but it's been quite a while.
My understanding is that, well, we found physically a gate here to this old field road. And I believe his intention is for whatever the future project is, that there be some sort of emergency egress for what that might be. I honestly have not been privy to any of the information.
My recollection, it was on the plan,
Okay.
but as we said, quite a while ago.
And the short form EAF, I think is adequate for something this size. But these, there's two number fives, like a front page of the maybe old short EAF, and the back part is the new electronic form.
Form that I filled out was the automatically filled out form on the DEC website.
Okay.
And Wendy here pointed out that extra 5 to me this afternoon. I'm not sure, I never noticed that before. Doesn't seem like there's any redundant questions.
Right, and, I did one before it came to this. We'll look into it. It needs to be adjusted. Please bring that for our next meeting.
I'm sorry.
If it needs to be adjusted for some reason, there's some correction to two number fives.
What's the issue on it?
There's a number five on the bottom of the page,
The one on the top of the second.
and there's one on the top of the second page. But I don't think the number five at the bottom of the page, on page one, is applicable. I think that's, it's question number 4 about land uses, and then question number 5 is the proposed action. And then we will need an ag data statement.
So this year said that wouldn't be necessary for this, but if that's what you require.
There's farmland in there, but I don't know if it's near an ag district or not.
Right, just gotta check if there's a state certified ag district.
Right.
Yeah.
It's sort of a rhetorical question.
Yeah, it's a very good question, because the trigger, of course, is a non-agricultural use within or within 500 feet of the state certified ag district. I'm not sure there's any non-agricultural use being proposed,
Right.
just a lot adjustment, so we'll look at that.
Have any further questions? Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, so you're going to be forwarding that question over to the town offices, and will I be waiting for a reply to that information before we move on to another meeting?
I think so, because we just want to make sure there's no trick up that triggers anything, and this is really for the benefit of the property owner, given that the current zoning law does include the sunset provision. Walking through, right now, if the PDD is approved, but there's no site plan subsequent to that within a year, PDD expires. As I said, the prior zoning ordinance did not include that sunset. If this somehow affects the PDD, that could arguably, and that's not my decision, I don't need to tell, could impact that 1 year trigger, then your client should be advised of that and decide how they may want to proceed. It may result in what you proposed, which is simply subdivide that. I don't know, how large is with the resulting lot, the vacant part below Blair be?
So this was 1.45 acres,
So
and
it's probably adequate size, right, with road frontage.
it fulfills all the criteria.
So,
We haven't done any test pits or anything of that nature, but there's no intention to develop it, so.
right. Well,
What's the zone there? Is that A40 zone?
Had it on the subdivision area.
probably, I would think.
Yes.
Probably. But, we'll let the town, I'm sure they would do that.
Understood.
So we can tentatively put you on the agenda for April 3rd. If you get resolution to all those questions, then want to come back before us. If you have any changes to the plans, like a week ahead of time, they need to be sooner the better.
So at the moment, the ball is in your court, and then you'll respond back to me with answers.
It'll either be more likely the building department in coordination with the sanitary and they'll be back to you.
Thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Anyone have any old business to discuss?
I did submit third round of comments to CDE for the proposed solar project on Chestnut Avenue. I'd like a page of comments and maybe too much left on that. So they may be back to 24 for the next meeting.
The other night at the zoning board, they kind of ended the public hearing, and I didn't realize they were gonna have a meeting, because she just didn't ask the people in the audience to stay, because we were gonna discuss more news or whatever. I mean, it was just like, we left, because I thought the meeting was over, everything was done. I would have stayed for the,
I can let the board know everything was not done. There was further discussion, but it did not include any discussion on Marie's Muse. They stayed, but the board did not entertain any further discussion on the application.
how many variances are they asking for?
I don't know that. There's a number of them. They're predominantly setback. There are a few along the rear line. There are some that are necessitated because there is proposed internal lot line.
Canopy.
And the canopy, given that it's technically an accessory structure, is larger than the accessory structure square footage. So there's setback requirements and size of the accessory structure. So there's a handful.
Mhm.
And the thought about eliminating the access out on the Mohawk? That's
Predominantly going to be a site plan discussion for this board.
discussion.
The zoning board did ask the pertinent question, which was, we've heard a lot of comments about that entrance and exit off of Mohawk. And so the zoning board really is focusing on what's in front of them, which are the setbacks requested as well as the size of the accessory structure. And the overall site issues are really this board's jurisdiction under site plan review. So they'll be speaking only to those variances. And in all likelihood, since they'll be acting first, anything that they do could be subject to conditions. I don't know that until they deliberate. But certainly a condition will be subject to planning board approval of site plan and special use permit in the subdivision.
And if they put conditions on that we don't agree with, we can send it back to zoning. I guess I don't know, I suppose we could eliminate that access on the Mohawk, but it's kind of like a safety thing. If you get an accident at the light.
And I know that's old business, but my suggestion would be that it'd be appropriate to have those discussions with the applicants here.
The other concern too, Andy, that I have with that project is they talking about, coming in for construction, coming in off Hoosick Street and exit on Mohawk with construction equipment. And I don't know what the condition or what the subgrade of Mohawk is as far as handling all that load.
Yeah, we can ask them or tell them to do like a condition rating of the road prior, and if there's any damage done to that road that they have.
I was gonna say, we could have them, video or document it or do something to, have an initial record before they start using it, so if any damage occurs.
It's pretty typical.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, so the agenda for next meeting, sorry. As good as Russ is. Paramount is number 1, and what we're calling is Lord CDP Hills, Lord would be number 2.
Or in news won't be here.
Well, I think that they know they have to get to the zoning board and address those variances first, so
Right, and
they
next,
don't know. You can check, Kevin, maybe have Wendy check with them as to whether they want to come in just to discuss the site plan or just wait until.
Maurice?
yeah,
Yeah, I think they indicated that they want to come in the next
Oh,
meeting.
next
To
planning board?
Wendy, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have they addressed all the comments from the public hearings?
To my knowledge, not from Monday evening. But they did submit a response to written comments from the first session.